Dah ready?
I guess so.
I have no idea what we're talking about, but usually I that way too.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we run the podcast as well.
I
So usually
see.
it's just like a back and forth conversation. Sangat. We'll just ask a little bit about you. You can ask a little bit about us, and then we'll just be good and steady. Okay.
What do I actually?
Hakim. Hakim.
This one.
Harit. Harit.
Haris.
Asal Haris tu?
Aku dibesarkan macam tu.
Semua panggil kau Haris.
Haris.
Tapi I see kau Harith tau.
Ya, dia kadang-kadang ada yang susah nak sebut Harith tu. So aku akan maintain Haris je lah.
Aku okay tu Harith.
Tapi dia Harith. Kan? Dia tak Harith.
Harith.
So
Harith,
kita ada tetamu
Okay, faham.
Tolong tunjukkan.
Haris. The Z at the back, right?
No, TH.
Yeah.
Harith.
Yeah, nama bapak dia Zazman. Yeah, right? Ini gila. First time I dengar. Bapak kau dapat mana tu nama tu?
Nama Zazman bukan nama bapak aku.
Tu memang nama kau?
Bukan.
Betul?
Kan aku dah bagi tahu kau.
Zazman?
Yes. Zazman tu bukan nama bapak aku.
Then,
Macam Parker bukan nama bapak
betul,
kau.
betul.
So, mana dapat Zazman ni adalah masa Hai, selamat datang
ke Borak Space. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very beautiful and very special guest, Dhani IIani.
Oh, I didn't know we're recording.
Yeah,
Hi.
we started recording. We just like to use some of these clips, like much for the intro or anything.
Yeah, I get that. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being here.
Yes.
busy kan hari ni, sibuk tapi sempat juga singgah.
Well, technically I said yes before I remembered that I had to do the dismantling. So usually this is normal. Yeah.
Especially in a whole freelancer life.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
You just kind of go by it.
So I know you because I went to Sky Iskandar punya, his art was being displayed for his exhibition. And in the middle there were 4 big pieces of art. And they were hers. Yeah, they were these plywood that was, you stapled some fabric onto them. And you also had them digitally printed out, right? And then every single piece had meaning and everything and stuff like that. And that was I think the first time I saw a artist with a manager. Yeah, because I always thought I don't know, in Malaysia punya scene, it would be you paint and then you probably get your name recognition out there. So I think you were my first exposure to she's an artist with an manager.
It is uncommon, I'll say that.
In Malaysia, right? Or
Yes.
everywhere else as well?
I think in Malaysia, but in general, unless you reach a certain point, and there's really doesn't make sense for you to have a manager.
Okay.
A different spectrum of you working. But really it's dependent on where you're at and what you really need help with, and whether it's too much at the moment. Get somebody to come in with certain parts.
Faham.
But in Malaysia, it's very uncommon lah.
Yeah. So how did you land a manager? And your manager is Is and Megat, right?
Yeah.
How did you land that?
Well, I started in art very young, very, very young. And I was very active with in the creative community itself. But as you know, when you do art, it's a different side of the brain. And you're not really taught, especially for me, I'm self-taught.
Okay.
And even though my backing is in fashion, regardless, I think in any creative sphere of what you take up on, you're not taught how to do it as a business format.
Fair.
So you will not know certain things, maybe just basics. They'll teach you this is how to price certain things, these are how you approach certain clients, or even the most important bit technically is how to make a contract and read through it and to know certain business lingos. Because most of the time, what I realized is not just myself, but even my friends, it's a rites of passage for us all to kena pijak. So best lah.
Betul.
After a certain point, I think you just have to understand that in the creative ecosystem of things, you need to learn how to not only protect yourself, but also when you protect yourself, you protect people who come after you.
Yeah.
You protect your friends.
Okay.
You have to support one another. So there's a lot of things that are not communicated to you about like outside of just survival. What can you do to create a much more sustainable, holistic practice for everybody? Yeah. So I think like with getting a manager, of course, I was actually very, very skeptical about it because like
yeah.
when you do art, it always seems like talking about money is like such a dirty thing.
Yeah, can it's like taints the process.
You
right?
talk about it at the last end bit point of whatever you do. Like, macam, oh, kalau duit budget macam mana? And it's always like a pipsqueak. Budget macam mana? But tapi nanti kita orang cakap later.
Betul.
Yeah.
So it's the same in every industry.
Yes.
Best, tapi budget macam mana? Nanti kita
Suddenly situ jadi polite.
Ya. Betul.
So
Okay,
I'm
fair.
like, so what I realized from there, not only am I like a young girl in the industry that's male dominated, and I'm like soft spoken to a certain extent. So it frames a certain way of approach where I might not be taken seriously, and also not really fully knowing business as a module. It's very easy for them to put certain clauses that I might not understand fully what I'm signing up for.
And then it could bite you back in the ass
Yes.
later. Yeah.
So, because macam like when you do art from your own side of like macam, okay, I buat benda ni, I bagi to you, you pay me one off, right? But then you forget, oh, what if now in the industry and the way that media has like kind of like progressed, if they want to use it for marketing purposes, that's a different sort of like ball game. You have to think about like, now you have to think about like, oh, if billboard charge dia macam mana? How long are you going to do this? What's the duration? I don't know this stuff. So I need to get somebody who knows, pardon my French, their shit
Fair.
to help me out in life.
Oui.
Yeah, yes.
I see. And how did how did Is and Megat came into the picture? Did they discover you or you discovered them?
I think we knew each other prior to that even. I think especially Is.
Okay.
Because he was a friend of my sister's.
I see.
And then I think he was trying to figure out what he wanted to do that was a bit more new. So he started the agency.
Yes.
And from there, I think I was his first, I don't know what you call it, like signee, something like that. But it was more of like a process of us learning how each of us worked, because Is was not really in tune with like the fine art industry.
Okay.
Neither was I in the spectrum of like locality. But I knew nothing about business technically other than just like,
Letak
if you
price
tell
tag
me,
jual.
no, if it's just like macam, hey, I got a job for you. Are you interested? And I'll just say yeah. And then it's like, if the pay is okay lah. But you don't think about like the strategies and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a work for me. It's just part of my work ethic as well, like a working friendship of us learning about our differences, our weaknesses. Because like when you get a manager as an artist, it's very important because technically it's like, in film terms, it's like having the director needs somebody who understands the way the brain works, right? So I think they call it like, there's a word for it, but I forgot. Like director or like
Yeah, like an AD.
AD or stuff like that. They just know how the director wants it to be.
Betul.
So the director does not have to like pening the whole spectrum of things. He just focuses on what he has to do.
That's true.
Yeah.
Director
100%
ada
true.
vision, orang lain tolong sampaikan vision tu.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so then your relationship with Is as your manager has been there for like a long time. Would it be?
Not really. I already had something going, quite of like a momentum already that I built up. The only problem was like, I was just running marathons without really knowing where I'm going. You know, I don't know what I wanted. And I still technically am still figuring out, because being part of an artist is kind of like you work project by project basis, like freelancing, right?
Yeah.
And so with Is, I think I was ready to have a part of my life where I wanted to be more stable, or just understand what sort of like frame of work systematically things around me functioned, and how, or whether or not I want to play by it, hack around it,
Yep.
care about it, or kind of just like the word settle for it.
Okay, yeah.
So
understood.
I'm still trying to like test the waters on that part.
Tak
Alright.
semua benda lah
Yeah.
dulu.
So I think I would say it's around 3
3 to 4 years.
sorry, it was after the pandemic.
So
During the pandemic. Around
2020-ish like that?
around there, yes.
Around
or like
there.
4 years or so. Yeah.
Okay. Was this like before? Because I saw like there was a moment where you went to Japan. Was this before you got signed or after you got signed?
This was all before I got.
Before you got signed.
So before I technically am like like most artists, we are self-managed or employed.
Of course.
Sign maksudnya macam okay, contoh dalam music kita ada sign dengan label. Adakah sama?
Yeah, they sign under manager lah, right? Like you sign a manager to work under you atau when you work under. How does it work? Macam
It's like an agency lah.
agency lah
It's
kan?
an agency, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
The only difference is like technically it's I'm the only artist that they're learning first off how to manage.
Faham.
To the viewers out there, kita bukan cakap artis Melayu tu kan yang ada kat TV ni, like literally makes art. Artist. Not actor. Artist.
I usually have to explain that when I go in Grab as well.
Yeah, betul kan?
So macam when they ask like, macam what do you do? I say artist. Then they look back and then I have to do like this. It's like this. Not that one. Just so you know, not that one. It's that one.
Yeah, that must be annoying to explain.
I think
Dah
it's quite
biasa.
interesting to see how our culture speaks about artistry or like the way that we define certain things.
Fair.
Ya, tapi setengah orang mungkin tak tahu artis tu like memang orang ingat artis tu macam berlakon sahaja. Dia tak tahu asalnya artis tu memang pelukis yang membuat art.
Yeah, dude, I think it's like the same like before influencer was even a word.
Yeah.
Like how the heck did you explain? Oh, I'm a social media person.
Membuat content.
Yeah, I make content. I think like that's the best one. But yeah, it's true. Like, I guess like you know how Malaysia are focusing on their artists and also their influencers and everything is changing up. But it's cool. It's cool in a sense. How did you end up like getting to Japan? Like, tell me more about the whole Japan thing. Was it like an exhibition for you or?
That was really. It just happened so fast.
Oh, okay.
Like, okay, so you imagine you're on Instagram. All the things that I get are from Instagram.
Okay.
Like,
Alhamdulillah.
Nice.
so Hafiz Bazaar Arabia, they reached out to me through Instagram, and I was thinking to myself, is this spam?
Yeah, right. It should feel that way. Yeah.
No, because it's like, why are you reaching out to me through Instagram? You know, I have an email, right? Macam rasa more formal, right?
Yeah.
But then usually what they do is that's how they kind of like kickstart the conversation to see if you're interested or sending you something more conclusive.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. I asked like my sisters, like, do you think this is legit? Am I like being tricked? I don't want to be like human trafficked.
Fair. That's a
Like,
fair concern.
Which I have a funny story about that too.
Oh, okay.
And in that process of like having that conversation with Hafiz Bazaar Arabia, they're like, hey, we're interested to bring you to Japan under Chanel, and we'll like sponsor you fully for the trip. So I was like, I was scared still because I'm just thinking like,
It just sounds too good to be true.
yeah, like, Ocham, are you for real? So what I did was I asked them, can I bump my sister in as well? So yeah, they booked me a really nice hotel.
Wow.
That was like a 5-star hotel in the middle of like Ginza, Tokyo, which is like a posh part of Tokyo. And then the hotel manager semua bagi me like all these cute little notes. So I was like reading as I arrived and like thinking, oh, they gave me chocolates. And they're like, oh, this bathtub is cute.
Best, yeah.
Yeah, but it was really, I think, like a once in a lifetime experience. Considering like I don't really think of myself as, I think during that time as well, I was still emerging. I still think that I am perpetually emerging. So I felt like that was a literal sweep me off my feet. And wow, but I can say that production was amazing.
Yeah.
We went around KL shooting on like a minivan that had like everything in it in terms like the styling wardrobe, the makeup, the vanity mirror. So it was like on the go as we go from one spot to another.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Kita tak buat macam tu.
Not at all.
Budget tak ada.
Budget tak ada.
Yeah.
Budget
But the
tak
funny
ada.
story was when I reached in Tokyo, because the ticket was booked under my sister.
Okay.
When she was in Dubai.
Ah.
So and I was like, I think I was wearing a hoodie, a mask, and a hat.
Okay.
So it just looked like I was suspicious as hell. Okay.
Muslim girl with a hoodie.
And then like
mask.
ticket not really under her. It was booked from a different country. Country pula like macam another Arab country, right?
Yeah.
So they
damn.
stopped me at like the immigration, and they're like, macam, okay, we're gonna ask you to come into the room. You know, like sometimes they have like screenings and for specific people that they picked out.
Yeah.
So it was me.
It was just you alone that time. Your sister
Yeah.
was not there yet.
No.
Right? Oh fuck.
Oh,
Great.
takut
But I'm like, I have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
So I'm not bringing anything that's illegal either. So I just went there happily. Oh, but it was such a interesting experience. You know, like the way that they checked you was like from head to toe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like a female enforcer would check you head to toe.
Yes, yes. So they ask you
okay.
questions, and then they ask you like, macam like, can you like take this off, take that off, whatever off.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking to myself like, do I have to strip these
Yeah. Oh shit.
in front of this like female immigration officer?
What
Like
the-
as long as I get to go my hotel, I'm fine.
Yeah,
Because I'm like at a different country.
Yeah, this is like a small bump in the road.
Yeah, but that was fun. I think. Now looking back, it's just like it was harmless.
So you were called in just for a photo shoot and for their fashion segment lah, and not for your art.
Technically, when they called me, they were calling to feature me as a visual artist,
I see.
but in their clothes.
That makes sense.
Because I think during that
Okay.
time, Chanel was still. Chanel didn't really have any ambassadors that were Muslim women per se.
I see.
So I think they were starting to like venture out. And then after I did that shoot, then they started to go a bit more forward with like a lot of Muslim women, and that's how like Yuna came to be involved with them as well.
I see. Okay. All right. Wow. You play like in a lot of these departments because like she paints. She sometimes makes like home videos a bit of time. And then like one fun thing, like you also play ice hockey. Yeah, like do you play like religiously?
Dekat sini ada ke?
Yeah.
Kat mana? Ada ke?
Yeah, it's Sunway and then like what was the other mall? Empire sometimes.
Empire dah tutup dah. It used to be there. That used to be like our actual Olympic size ice ring. That's the
Right.
official one. And then I don't know what happened to that building. They had some form of corruption.
Of course.
And like, but we play at like both Sunway and IOI at Putrajaya. Sometimes at Bukit Jalil Blue Ice Ring.
Okay.
So those three places are in general. But the most prominent ones is ice lah.
Faham. Oh, yang tempat ada ice skating tu diorang akan jadikan tempat situ main
Yes,
hockey ice
yes,
lah.
Yeah, then we have
yes.
tournaments, leagues and whatnot.
Wow.
I see. Because I had like a friend of mine. He was also into ice hockey, but he plays for the Johor team.
Oh, yo.
Yeah, he plays for the Johor team. But because the amount of players there in Johor tak ramai, so they sometimes import players from Singapore.
Yeah, so that's actually an initiative where we're trying to actually have tournaments that are like state versus state because it's always been like in Selangor, the same pool of people. But even so, we actually have quite a number of players based off leagues because you have the expat punya league. You have like the more local punya league, stuff like that.
Does it ever get rough in the ice ring?
Ya doh. Takut doh.
Sorry.
Dia campak-campak helmet kadang tu.
I mean, fights do start. Of course, more prominently with the boys.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Because you know you are high on adrenaline and you are high with emotions as well. Can be a bit intense. So yeah, you might see a few punches here and there every now and then.
Tapi itu tak fall kan?
It is.
Ya.
Of course.
Okay. So
Okay.
apa yang tak fall? Nampak terus sangat. Tapi
I think
okay.
I think it's understandable when you ask that question is because when you watch TV
Yeah.
nationally in leagues, those are beer leagues.
Beer leagues.
Beer leagues meaning like you know like WWE,
WWE.
stuff like that. They create a little bit of like drama, so it excites people, right? I mean, who doesn't want to go see like a hockey game with somebody throwing punches? Even like for us among the hockey community, we love it when fights break up. It's so fun to watch. It's so fun because like you get to see the most stupidest like acts on ice. It's just like this person starts punching this person falls for no reason, and then
With the slide.
and then the referee tries to like try to break it away, and then maybe the referee macam tak puas hati juga and then punch back. So you never know what could happen.
Okay.
So you kind of just go cheering like, macam, yeah, go at it, man. But you kena pegang.
Tumbuk dia lagi.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
nice.
so lovely.
Oh, padahal selama ni aku tengok klip, memang klip tu je. Memang orang nak tengok benda tu.
It was made for that.
Yeah.
You were the target audience, bro.
Yeah, but sometimes the fights are real lah. But dia akan dapat penalty lah.
Okay, all right. Damn.
Boleh try.
How long have you been playing hockey?
I think since I was 18.
Oh,
So I
okay.
started freestyling on ice first before I did ice hockey.
Apa benda je yang tak buat?
Semua benda dia buat. So far kita tahu semua benda dia buat. So far.
Duit.
Faham?
It got too real.
Faham. Duit tu.
That's just
Dah
like,
tahu jawapan tu.
I know. Because I get that question sometimes.
She already game prepared, bro. Game prepared. Okay, 18 you started freestyling, all right. And then how did like this opportunity like came to you?
So I think because I was so active being on ice, just technically my backyard at that point, I got scouted lah. So from the community, they said like, macam, you seem to be able to skate. And I think especially during that time, the women's team was non-existent. We were trying to like build up a certain like number of women to actually have a team.
Of course.
So from there, I tried it out. I fell in love with it because I've always been very active in sports, various different sports. And I think what I realized when I did hockey was like, it might sound a bit weird, but I felt like I was gonna die on ice.
Oh.
It was just that tiring.
Oh.
You know, like macam when you do
okay.
something and then you nak muntah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had that feeling. So I felt like, this is something that I can't do. I want to do it. Wow. I want to learn how to do this.
That sounds like a person who just can't lose. And I like
But
that.
I'm not really competitive. I think it's more of just knowing that you're able to push certain limits. And you want to kind of find out. It's
How
kind of
far
like,
you can go with this whole thing?
yes. Yeah.
Okay. So 18 all until now. Damn,
Yes,
that's a
yes.
long time.
Yeah, but you know, the hockey kids that started out when they were like toddlers, they play at a different level.
Okay, fair lah. Fair lah. They had an unfair advantage.
Yeah, I
they
mean,
had
but-
time on their side.
That time and parents with them.
Betul.
Yeah.
Tapi satu nak tanya, macam mana nak fokus tu? Sebab yang aku tahu, main ice hockey ni kena pakai,
Yeah, the ice skates.
itu pun aku tak boleh. Macam mana kau nak fokus ni? Macam mana kau nak fokus tengok tu? Macam mana kau nak fokus lawan lagi? Nak tumbuk muka dia ni?
Yeah. Oh.
How tu? Aku kan gigil je tu kat situ kalau.
Tumbuk tu kau fikir kemudian.
Oh, yeah.
Tumbuk tu kemudian. Yeah, but I'm sure you went to practice, right?
Yes, but that's the whole point of why it was so challenging. Because it's like, because I did ballet before, which is a complete opposite, but it's still a very disciplined like sport in itself. But when I went for ice hockey, what I realized was like, okay, not only is a high adrenaline game, high intensity. Our shifts, we call it when we go in and out of the ring, is meant to be kept at 30 seconds. 30 seconds only.
Wait.
The full game is 45 minutes. It has like 3 compartments of it.
Okay.
But when we go for shifts, we only can go in 30 seconds and then keluar.
Shift tu macam sub lah. Sub tukar orang.
Yeah, but like macam you only play for 30 seconds, you go out. How long are you resting?
Maybe like a minute, 2 minutes.
And after that you go back in.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Oish.
So it's like a constant shift.
Yes.
Even within the goalies?
Goalies tak. Goalies
tak
maintain.
mesti lah. Okay.
Disebabkan terlalu penat kan? Faham.
So that 30 second can feel like a whirlwind of so many things.
Oh wow.
It's I can't even say it's like sprinting because like we were saying, right? With all of that in mind, you have to not only skate, but you also have to like figure out where you want to go in terms of your pathways, and we also have rules of like offside to semua.
Yeah,
Okay.
We also need to be aware of like game plates that we have. So a lot of strategy is involved. Where our not only where our opponents are, but also learn how to call out and communicate with our teammates. And other than that is like knowing how to pass, knowing the blind spots of like the
Oh,
goalies.
you're right. Oh my god.
Detail tau.
It's not easy. There's a lot of focus that's needed.
Yeah.
So the best way I can put it is like before I played ice hockey, I can't drive. After I got better at it, my focus became better. I can drive. Yeah.
So now you have a license.
Yeah.
How old were you when you got your license?
I think quite late.
20.
Maybe lah 21 lah.
Okay, so after 4 years of ice hockey.
No, not even.
Oh.
Yeah, I got it early. But I started driving around 24.
Faham.
That manja-manja with the car lama sikit.
Okay. You could just like be on ice and get hit by people, but on the road. Ooh.
It's different. But you know, it's just so poetic that I am a Myvi girl. It just seems perfect.
It does,
Because it
it
does
does.
feel like how I drive is how I skate.
That doesn't. That actually makes sense. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh damn. Okay, lovely. Wow, that's a lot of things to consider.
Satu benda kan, I first tahu kewujudan you adalah masa first I tengok Sonawan punya music video, Bomba.
Yeah.
Time tu tak silap you sebagai art director, betul?
Yeah.
Kan? Macam mana tu start? Adakah you buat semua benda tu berdasarkan okay, I nak this direction? Sebab bagi masa tu I suka tengok music video ni, but pada masa tu macam ini tak ada orang lain buat. Macam mana you boleh fikir macam okay, nak buat benda ni?
Yeah, it's like a special vision that you have, obviously.
I think to be fair, the whole thing started when Dhan Productions, they approached me first. And they
Okay.
were saying that we have this idea of like, we want to work with you.
Okay.
And I found it very funny, like during the conversation, they literally said to me like, but we don't know with what, how. No, because they were like, so what do you do? Like, how can we like include you in it, you know? And I think during that time as well, because I was like all over the place.
Okay.
I try to do this, I do that, I do this. Sometimes I understand like when clients approach me, they don't really know how to work with me.
Okay.
But I found it very flattering that they went out of their way to like macam say, hey, I don't know exactly what you can do or what we can do, but let's see and find out.
That's nice.
So from there, they mentioned like about this video that they want to work on. They want something very poppy, something very fun, and something very collagey. So with that said in mind, I'm like, okay, cool, I get it. I can just come in the visual parts. So what I did was I went through a lot of stock images, stock videos.
Okay, of course.
And then I built up like all these scenarios and little worlds according to what like I felt like the music.
Was giving to you.
Yeah. And also what I feel like Sonawan, who is quite a character himself.
True. Yeah.
I think it went pretty well because it was something that I already knew. And we collaborated. We also had like in the team VFX. VFX,
I think VFX. Yeah.
VFX artists who were amazing in what they were doing in terms of the animations, the renderings. And it kind of got married with one another to create Bomba.
Wow.
How
It was a
old
very
were you?
fun project.
Clearly it
Sangat
was.
cantik dah, cantik.
Yeah. How old were you when you were doing that project? Good
And
point.
I think it has to definitely be more than 5-6 years ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Probably around. No, I was.
So right before you got comfortable with the car.
Yeah. I was still grabbing by then.
Damn. Okay. All right. And then was it like a tough process? Like sometimes when you want to be a little bit too, how do I say, a little bit too artsy with certain people, they sometimes have a little bit of a resistance.
Yeah.
So far, no. I think because the whole point of the music video was to say campy, but like excessive and expressive, also very much in your face. Because collages are like that. They're like awkward. They're like all this little eccentricity. So I felt like there's a lot of room to play. So there wasn't anything that was lined out other than like some specific frames that they wanted to incorporate. Like I think there was a sure if it's a Dali painting or stuff like that they want to incorporate in it, or like certain visual mock-ups of it.
Okay.
But the other parts, I just had the freedom to kind of like collage my way with Sona and see like what could like be very playful in the manner of it. I think it was a really fun project for me. Because like you had the tools, you just go and be imaginative.
Yeah, that is a fun project.
Kan?
Honestly. Yeah, not many projects in life will give you that opportunity.
Betul. You pernah tak deal dengan macam ni, you ada kebebasan tau nak buat art you. You pernah tak deal dengan contoh klien yang macam okay, I nak macam ni.
Of course. I think for anybody, and itu paling normal lah. I think like for me, what I don't understand is like I can be quite selective with what I work with. Only in like, it's not like even being a diva, tak pun. It's just like where you seem to fit in or you can help out.
Faham.
But just some stuff you're like, why you not just get the next girl? Like you know how I am as a person in terms of like what I do, the certain modus operandi and style that I tend to go for. But why is it that you go for me, but you ask for the latter?
Fair.
So I think like the best part of like learning throughout this processes is that most times people want to work with you not so much with what you can offer, but more so of like what they can ride on you from maybe your name.
I see.
Or maybe the affiliation.
Yeah. They just
So
want
you
your
can
name on there.
you
I
can
get
tell
that.
the difference, because I can definitely say like with some brands, and I understand it's a business. You want to make profit.
Betul.
You want to kind of like always say that your brand is unique, but sometimes it's not.
It's really not. It's really
Sama
not.
je.
But the best way to say it coming from fashion is that in honest to God, real fashion people really don't care.
Okay.
I feel like most of the time the trendsetters, the true trendsetters are the smallest people.
That's true.
The small figures in life.
Yeah.
They're not something that is a trending entity. So that's why you always hear things of like, this brand stole this idea, this brand stole this idea. Sometimes what they try to do is they try to adopt the person or the figure in mind as a way to kind of like get away with adopting their style or what they stand for. And then from there, they kind of like try to suck out the value of like, this is why we're special and unique.
I see.
So sometimes, you could be doing your own thing just out of love of expressing yourself. But there might be people who want to write about it, some in good intention, but some just with a just wanting to kind of like tokenize you as a merit to say like, hey, we have this person involved with this brand because he represents our brand. His style is our brand. Yeah. So now they're terbalik because they're a bigger entity.
Betul doh. Tak ada fikir.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
That
betul
really
lah.
is a good way. Is it like this is the same thing? Okay, so I've been like telling a few girls that I'm planning to invite you one day to the podcast, and then surprisingly, a lot of them told me that you were the one that started this certain trend where instead of like wearing you wear a shawl, and after that you put a bucket hat on top. Like you were the first one to start it, and then after that, that's when every single girl started to do it, and that's when like every single people start selling it as a whole set instead of it being two separate things. Did you ever realize that?
I think a lot of people affirmed it to me about it, and I don't think I can say for sure
Okay, all right.
because
But we're gonna claim it for now.
we can claim it.
We can claim it for
I think
now.
that I do feel like I should have claimed it as well,
Right?
because I feel like sometimes it's just like it was such a intrinsic part of my identity before.
Yeah, because I don't think because when it's true, like because I scroll back your Instagram and there it is.
Yeah.
I see it. Yeah.
So I actually started wearing the bucket hat since I was 15.
Okay, fair. It was your thing.
Yeah, it was my thing. And the story behind it is like, honestly, one, I grew up in a kampung area again.
Okay.
So I love fishing. So if you go
So you
fishing, you
memang
pakai lah
boleh
bucket hat, right? So it's so funny that when I was like younger and I wore the bucket hat, people will always ask me like macam nak pergi pancing ke? Because in my head it's like macam
Yes.
that was true, yeah.
Yes.
It's not a joke. It was true.
You truly did the purpose.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But the other purpose was also because like I have very sensitive skin
Okay.
because I'm very fair for some reason.
Okay.
So
I
as a
understand.
manner to kind of like protect myself from the sun, because I would turn like this pinkish red,
Faham.
I would wear the bucket hat
Faham.
as a layer lah. And I wore it so often, which was supposed to be something to hide myself from the world. Became something that was like I was known for it. So it became like the complete opposite of like macam if I'm skating during those days. My friends akan kacau lah. So they will tell me that I could see you from a mile away because only you would wear that.
It is you. It is in essence just you.
Yeah. So ever since then, I think like a lot of people just started to like emulate the look.
Okay.
And then they would tag me during this like very
Oh, that's cute.
that young punya time lah. And then they would tell me like macam oh inspired by Dhani ni semua. And I thought to myself like macam okay. Okay, that's cute, you know? It's
This
cute.
happened.
It's cute. And then slowly I think it just grew. And with the trends that were coming from overseas as well,
Yeah.
it all kind of like simultaneously grew as well.
Yeah, fair.
And I would say like there were a lot of like different influencers as well who did it knowing that it was my thing. And brands as well, sometimes when they invite me, they want me to emulate that look. But when they can't get me, they have somebody else emulate that look.
Of course.
So sometimes with the friends yang macam have to come and step in to do it, they will tell me, Dhani, I'm so sorry. I don't know. They wanted me to dress like you. They will tell me straight out. And I'll be like, macam, it's okay. I get it.
Oh, damn.
But I think I as much as I think that I should reclaim it, like, to tell you the truth, I have 200 plus bucket hats at home.
What? That's a lot.
I collect them technically.
Clearly you do.
They're my babies.
They are. Oh my god.
So I don't really mind that it's now something that I've outgrown.
Faham?
Because you have phases in life, right?
Yeah, you do. But no, I've never been through 200 of a certain
Yeah.
phase.
I think in general in Malaysia, I think what I wish we had was like a write-up of like our pop culture. We don't have stuff like that. Or youth culture.
True, that's quite true.
And I mean it in terms of like archival. We technically just have it in a magazine format.
Yeah.
Mostly just about trends. But we don't talk about like, oh, youth from this generation went through like this 2000 phase. This generation went to this phase, you know?
Ya. And dari situ kita dah boleh tahu tau 2000 ni macam mana fashion dia dekat Malaysia punya.
Yeah.
Kan?
Especially in Malaysian punya context.
Yeah.
Ada benda tu.
Yeah, I think like Malaysian is such a weird mix because it's like a weird mix of like you have Western mix over here.
Yeah.
You have the Korean mix
Korean
over here.
lagi.
You have some Bollywood mix over here. from
The
time to time.
J-pops,
Yeah,
anime.
J-pops.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think like Malaysia is like the most, I don't know, this is like my own understanding. I feel like Malaysia is the only country where it's like so hospitable to anyone. Like you
Any
could,
culture, yeah.
yeah, right? You could come here and like, hey,
True.
that represents me. I feel like Malaysia punya lah dia punya channel lah. Sopan santun, welcoming, I guess. We literally make their identity a part of us.
We're adaptable lah,
I
actually.
think we are, right? I think we are. Damn.
Adaptable and non-confrontational.
Oh, true.
Saya setuju yang tu.
That's very true. We just had a guest here, Keanu, and then we were just having like this whole conversation about being confrontational and everything and stuff like that. But true, in essence, very true. We've clarified that. Oh, before, like I remember, like when I texted you before you came to the podcast, you wanted to talk about your art exhibition and the things that went wrong with it. First of all, congratulations to your art exhibition.
Thank you.
It's not easy for like people to get their own exhibition.
Betul.
Is this like your first exhibition?
I think to reword it better, it would actually be, although I don't really,
You don't classify it as your own exhibition?
how do I say this? Okay, by right, it would be considered a solo debut.
Oh.
Yes.
But I feel like you've debuted it before, so why would it be a debut again?
I've never actually done the solo.
Oh, I see.
I don't want to do a solo in the time frame that I've been going on. It's something that I feel like macam, it's not important to me.
Too much work also?
Not so much. It's more of like a solo can be a lot of things to different artists depending on how they want to treat it. Some artists only want to do a solo when it's like I'm going to do it once in my life and it's my magnum opus, my masterpiece. Some are like that.
Okay.
Not like that.
All right.
Some artists are more of like, I'm going to do several of them.
Okay.
Some of them just want to do it quick because it's a way to establish yourself with your body of work.
Okay. Cool.
I think for me, it was just kind of like, I never thought of it. I just felt like one day I will feel like I want to do it. One day I maybe not. I won't. Maybe that day won't come. We'll see. But when this came, it did not even click to me that it's a solo until like 2 weeks when it was going to go up. But technically that is what it would be framed as, a solo debut. A reason for it being a debut is because this is with the National Art Gallery. So that means it's by invite only. So they only invite specific artists going through a curatorial process with the juries.
Okay.
Who they think like, who are we going to call in next? Who we think like is, I don't know, in their own way of putting it, worthy of this next
I
spot.
see.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
Boleh tak I nak tahu macam mana nak ada that solo exhibition? Macam mana nak ada? Adakah macam aku kena buat banyak ni art baru aku boleh ada satu exhibition?
I think that's really up to you. It's not so much about prestige. This one is only the prestige is only because it's the National Art Gallery that's hosting it and doing it, funding it and whatnot.
Oh, they fund it as well. Damn.
But usually with the solo, it can be for anyone. As long as you are consistent in doing what you want to do.
Of course.
Technically, in music terms, it can be like putting out an album.
Yeah.
You have a few singles.
Yes.
And then it establishes this sort of like mood that presents you as an artist and what frame of like genres you do, kind of like vibe you go for.
So kena ada duit jugalah.
I mean, like they
Yes.
fund it in some sense.
Kalau setengah orang yang macam artis daripada lain ke, aku nak buat, dia kena bayar sendiri lah.
Yeah, so it's always an investment with art
Okay.
because you have to build a portfolio like.
I see.
And then like macam film pun, you nak buat debut film pun, you kena find funding semua juga kan. Yeah.
betul
Stuff
juga.
like that.
Betul
It's the same thing. Even with business, you have to keluarkan the collection first.
Of course.
And tengok how it is with the market.
So it's not that different sangat lah. It's just the process.
Yeah.
But the ideas and the concepts
It's
are
just
somewhat
packaged in a different way.
Okay. Were any of your art also like for sale during your solo debut?
For the National Art Gallery, we're not allowed to sell it there.
Okay.
It's not supposed to be in the purpose of it.
Okay.
It's not because the National Art Gallery is non-commercial. They're not like certain galleries, or actually most galleries, private or actually most of them are just private. They rely on having clients and buyers to
Okay.
survive in terms of like it's a business model technically, right?
Okay.
But the National Art Gallery, their purpose is a little bit different, meaning they are a national institution that's supposed to give back to the community.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay. So kalau diorang nak beli, diorang kena PM tepi lah.
Yes.
Faham betul.
Yes, something like that.
Has
Yeah.
there been any?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair.
Yeah.
That's the thing about art, right? Sometimes it's like, it's there. It has its purpose. But to find a buyer, I think takes the longest time, right? Because not every piece is for everyone.
It's like trying to find a date.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
It's a long-term relationship technically. Are you gonna take care of her? Are you gonna like make sure it's being like you're gonna honor it? Where are you gonna put her?
You tanya tak? Kalau terjual, you akan tanya tak mana nak letak?
I think no.
Just bagi je lah.
Because some artists, they are very particular about who they sell it to. For me, I think I like the idea of my art kind of like vanishing into existence.
Oh, so it's just like in someone's gallery, in someone's basement, or in
Yeah,
someone's
yeah.
living room.
I romanticize the idea of like maybe one day I'm walking and I see it through a window. It's like, isn't that mine?
Oh.
So I like that sort of scenario. Never happened, but maybe one day.
Okay, let me tell. Okay, I'm not sure. This is probably not the same feeling, but I remember like when we first released our merchandise, and then like I was just walking around in a random place in a random city, and then I saw somebody like wearing our merch, and I was like, oh, that's mine.
Right.
That's
There's a
mine.
feeling.
Yeah, there's a feeling to
Just
it.
knowing that you don't have to go to that person saying, oh, where did you buy this? You know, I'm the one who did this. No, it's just knowing like your baby is somebody else's baby now, and then you're watching from a distance as it's growing up. Feel something. Dah berjalan dah.
Oh, lovely.
Macam tu lah.
Macam tu lah. Okay, so that you said there were problems like when you were starting up the whole, like, solo debut.
I think just going off from what I know, specifically when I was going into this program, is that I think I'm one of the youngest
Okay.
to be considered and to do it. So I already knew like macam, what the hell am I going to be going through? 'Cause there's a lot of things that I still need to learn, and I take that upon myself to agree that I am not perfect myself.
Of course,
And
no one is.
you will always technically just, especially with like the project in mind, not only having to manage a project of that caliber
Yeah.
for the first time,
Yeah.
and also getting acquainted with the National Gallery institution,
Okay.
and which I have to also understand, like in terms of the local creative scene,
Yeah.
we don't really view it as much of anything.
Oh.
Only because like artists being artists, we kind of just like do our own thing.
Okay.
Like you national ke, tak national ke, besides the point. As long as we get to do what we love, that's just it.
Yeah.
So most of the time when we do these stuff, is kind of like, what sort of, why are we doing it? Is it like for the prestige of it je ke? Or like we want to learn something ke? Or we want to like go further and actually get more acquainted with like a different body of like government ke?
Okay.
It's like, it's Bala is technically government lah.
Okay.
So there were of course a lot of like, so many hiccups along the way. This being the fact that I wanted to do this next year. This year.
Okay.
So supposedly around June.
All right.
So I was like, I'm thinking, I want to take my time, of course. And no, that did not happen. So I think during November when I came, for some reason I thought it would just kind of be like this, like I'm talking to you, you're talking to me about like our future plans.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, it was a full meeting with like all the board members of like the people who are in charge of like the department.
Damn. Were your managers there with you?
Thankfully, yes, I brought them. So I was like, okay, thank you, God. I know. But the way our faces looked, we looked at one another and we just knew we had to goreng. Because they had like the deck printed out, and it was my working deck. So I've not yet completed it. I'm still like playing around with the ideas, and then now it's like on all of the people seated. So I was thinking, okay, apa. We'll see how this kind of like
Unfolds.
see what happens. And I was kind of, it was very daunting in the aspect of like knowing the timeline, specifically
How long did they give you?
months, less than 2 months, to get everything in order. And this is not only, okay, mind you, the challenges that I had to face was not only the timeline and the time frame, but also with the fact that it was the end of the year, Christmas holidays, closing of businesses, operations, like cari funding semua tak boleh because businesses quarter dah tutup, financial quarter, right? So it was like everything is at odds. Girl, what am I supposed to do? And I was thinking to myself, where am I going to find the money? Because government lambat sikit hantar money, right? And then you have to always go through a tender and semua benda ni.
Yes.
Thankfully, I'm a resourceful woman.
Alhamdulillah.
We have to pay. So I talked to like a few friends. Then we found a contractor friend who I've worked with before for RHB.
Okay.
So they came in handy. It's just that either way, with a time frame that's so small of trying to plan everything, because you need to plan things first to be able to know what you're doing.
Yes.
And from there to know the budget.
And then after that, with the budget,
Then only
do you the art.
budget, you have to get the approval.
Approval first.
Of course, there are the tiers. You can
Yeah.
get the approval. And then the approval means the processing. But that's always going to be later. So I had to, of course, fork out my money first.
Oh my god.
So tu yang sakit tu.
Tu sakit banyak tu. Oh damn.
So I pula, me being very ambitious, because I'm thinking to myself, like, if I'm going to suffer, I might as well suffer in a way where I get something
Grandiose.
good that comes out of this, you know? That I actually tried to whatever little life I've left. So I decided, okay, if I'm doing this, let me learn a new skill at the very least.
Okay.
Because I felt like, because trying to find an idea of what I wanted to do, I realized I wanted to do something without any expectations at all on myself.
Oh.
And that was
Okay.
supposedly when people want to do something for like, which is supposed to be an institution like Balai, a national institution, you want to do something like this is the best work so far.
Okay.
I terbalik. I literally said to myself, I know about work where it's a bendera putih.
Okay.
About surrendering to the fact that I don't know why I'm doing art anymore. But every time I try to quit, I'm back at square one because it's the only thing that comes to me so naturally. But
It's
I want
giving
to,
ADHD.
yeah, with a lot of suffering. So going about it, I just decided, okay, I'm gonna do what I love, which is exploring new mediums, learning how to like encompass all of these little philosophies in life. So I learned tattooing.
Oh, okay.
I learned it from a good friend, now a good friend, I think, from the handicrafters at JMBB Mall.
Okay.
So Mr. Simple Lim, he taught me like the ins and outs of like tattooing. Also, of
Tattoo on
course,
someone's skin or?
no, they had thick skin. We call it practice skin.
Oh, I did not know
Yes.
that.
But my
situ lah diorang practice.
but my teacher's like macam, you know, because he knows I'm a Muslim, right? He's not macam, if you want to try it, you just you don't dip it in ink, and then like when you feel like you're up to it, you try tattoo at your thigh, just to know how it feels like.
Okay. And
I
I
can't-
assume you did that?
No, I can't tell him that I'm scared of needles.
Oh, you're scared of needles.
Because like it's like I'm trying to learn tattooing, but I'm scared of needles. Doesn't fare well. Also, like I'm a fashion major. Yeah, it doesn't like click well.
Damn, how did you get your COVID vaccine? Full of fear?
Yeah,
Okay.
like most of us do.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I hated it.
Tapi memang sakit buat tattoo.
Ah,
Sakit ke?
She
Tengok,
wouldn't-
tengok,
she
orang,
didn't try.
tengok orang.
it depends on your pain threshold and what part you're doing it at. Kalau if it's like the skin is thin, sakit lah.
Yeah, they say kalau kau buat kat collarbone ni sakit gila babi.
Alamak.
Yeah.
Baru nak buat kat sini lah.
Faham?
Hmm. Tapi tak yalah, tak jadilah.
Okay.
Try without the dawat first.
Try buat the dawat. Aku just cucuk jarum je kat
Tak
kau.
apalah, tak apalah.
Tak apa, try lah.
Nanti.
So yeah, I learned a new skill, and I incorporate it with something that I've always been doing before, which is like a lot of textile elements. So I tattooed leather. So
okay,
it's like real cow leather that I sourced out. So there was a lot of like exploration, just understanding like not just the process of creating art as a formation of your spirit, your mind, your body, whatever.
Yeah.
But also like understanding my intention with why am I still here?
Okay.
Why am I doing this? You know? Why is my body doing this? Why am I trying to explain it? It's kind of like almost like a tantrum.
Oh, okay.
But what I loved is at the start of doing it, because it is niyat, it was literally me saying like, I'm gonna give you space to which you can just fully immerse yourself in your art and have that whatever that you created, which is niyat being something very sacred, something that you have a space with yourself, that you talk in conversation with, whether it be with you or with God. And then from there, you serahkan semuanya kat tempat tu, and you see how people respond.
Yeah.
But when you dah letak everything in order, it's no longer yours. Now you're just sharing something that is a fragment of you or an idea of you. So you observe it as just that. So whether it's good or bad, it's just something that's projected.
That's fair.
So the idea is to self-reflect technically in the process of things. Because a lot of my work, I realize, is very experiential.
Okay.
Because I do a lot of performance art. So it's always about embodiment rather than the materialization or the physicality of it.
Okay.
So I wanted the element of niyat being very immaterial, very kind of like the metaphysical.
Okay. Fair.
So just literally looking in the mirror and telling me what you see.
Damn.
But it was a lot in the process of like, when you try to do something like that, you tahu lah, you're gonna have to go through the deep trenches.
Deep parts of yourselves.
Yeah, those parts that need healing, they've been coming at me. I'm going through, Lord knows.
Faham.
But
It does. I have to ask, like, did a sense of you feel a little bit of like healed when you were making those pieces? Because I know, like, I think like I'm asking this because I remember I posted a video telling people like how journaling helps you, heal a little bit part of yourself. And someone said, oh, for me, it was a little bit more dancing or acting and sometimes making art. So it's like, oh, okay, I've never tried that before, but based on your experience, did you feel like while you were making those arts, you kind of uncovered and also maybe resolved a little bit of those issues that you had in your heart?
When you set the intention, you will find pathways open up to you.
Okay.
But I feel like it's not a straight cut solution.
Of course.
Of course, there are no solutions, and I knew that. That's why I had no expectations. But it's more of like saying that this is the end. I'm surrendering. I'm like putting out the bandera putih. But I'm also saying like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. This is the start. My end is the start, and I think I want to be happy with that for once. Because like I always feel a tremendous amount of pressure to. Because we can be very hard on ourselves with not just work, but in terms of like the way we want to
We are
achieve a certain standard in our mind. It might not
yeah.
be the standard that people have, but you also have like a standard that you kind of internalize,
True.
whether conscious or unconsciously.
And we sometimes are our own worst critics.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, I've never thought of it before, but I realized like I'm a high achiever.
Fair. Okay.
So I was thinking to myself like that must mean that I am, to a certain extent, quite the perfectionist in certain things that I do. I have a certain way of doing certain things that I feel like I have to reach this point, or at least like there needs to be some form of return. So like outside of all of that, I realized that Niat is about being playful to just living. Living. So I was...
So you were letting go of that concept of yourself.
Yes, I'm letting... So during the whole process, I was changing from who I was before. And when I say this, I'll go a little bit more personal here. Is I learned a very, I wouldn't say like reality shattering aspect to why I started in art. Because you know how people say when you do art, it's like therapy, it's healing, semua benda ni kan. But another aspect I do realize is like it's also a trauma response, isn't it?
Oh.
It's you lashing out, you expressing, you trying to cope through something, to learn something. So as much as it is therapeutic, it can also bring parts of you where you realize like the only way you can work through these emotions is through this medium. And it might not always be a solution. It might just be a temporary measure of a band-aid.
Yeah, it could be, you know, like this is a cheap way to put it, but I can't think of anything else right now. It's kind of like, for example, you just went through your first horrible heartbreak, and instead of sitting down and dealing with that solution,
You go for a rebound.
you go for rebounds, or you go for clubs or whatever, stuff like that. So,
But of course, I will give it some mind that, you know, when you do things like painting or you do sports, they're actually healthy coping mechanisms.
of course.
But the thing is, like, when you're going very introspective with yourself, it requires practice. Because even when you solat, you have to, like, it's not easy to kusyuk, right?
Betul.
Some days can, some days cannot. So it's a constant practice of you going at it again and again and again. So that's why in Niat, there's a lot of repetition of like the doop-daps of the heart. A lot of like the jumping of the skipping rope. The tattoo guy going like that. Or sewing going like that. There's a lot of repetitions of that rhythm.
Yeah.
So like I realized in my start of life of doing art more seriously or even more like immersively, started as a form of like protection for myself. And it's not that I have an alter ego. They're one of the same thing, but out of survival needs, I have a parental role and I have a role where I'm a bit more like the inner child or what they call it, right?
It's kind of like you taking care of yourself constantly.
Yes. But then I realized like the parental role, which is technically like the superhero that you create that can do all this stuff. She can go so far. She can handle all this stuff.
She can do ice skating. She
She can do all this stuff.
skateboarding,
But then you realize like it is an armor. When do you put down the armor? When do you get to meet that person who's like been waiting to feel safe? Because I've been like, I kunci di dalam kandang kot. That's how it feels like. So I realized like ever since I was little, during that time of where I went through a very traumatic experience, I thought to myself, I always had this like thing that this internal dialogue with myself where I said like, one day I'll be like, I'll have the space to be big enough to be free. Like somehow, somewhere, it was not like tangible, like, okay, one day I have this job, I'll be stable, and then I'll probably be more comfortable in my skin. And then when I sit down, I'm like, macam, what do you mean one day? When is that even ever gonna come?
Yeah.
So why not now? And from there, I realized like that person who I was for the last 15, 14 years,
Okay.
not to say that she's not genuine, not to say like I need to kill her or murder her, but she cannot exist past this point anymore because now she is hindering my progress. She needs to step aside, and I need to figure out who I am now. I have this preconceived idea of who I am supposed to be
Okay.
for the future and whatnot. Because for me, when I was starting out, it just gradually became where I started gaining media value, stuff like that. Or
yes.
like the media actually wants to know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I'm young. Or people, when you're young, you don't really know what you're signing up to or what these things will affect you, right? You don't know how social media is going to affect you.
Yeah, you just go along with it. and see
Growing
how
up
it goes.
with it will change so much of your the way that you perceive the world, your self-esteem,
Betul.
how you're navigating through life.
Yeah.
And you might think like macam boleh je. It's like in this, I boleh je buang benda ni. But then before long you realize like no,
Bila nak buang?
you're in so deep.
Yeah.
So that's when I realized like that person is no longer mine. That person who's supposed to protect me now has to handle so much weight that's been projected by others because she seems to be able to do all this stuff. That when people meet me, they don't meet me, they meet her.
Oh, wow.
They meet the idea of who I'm supposed to be. So even if I'm trying to rest, they will summon that person. Because tu yang dia orang nak cakap dengan tau.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So
That's-
I'm like at the point of my life where, okay, I respect that. I love that person. I love her to bits. But I think I want to learn myself out of all of that. And if it means being back to zero
Yeah.
or losing, maybe I don't know what I would lose.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay with it. I want to be happy. I want to learn myself as a new person.
As to let certain parts of you go, right?
Yes.
So, okay, like this is so weird, but like when you were explaining this whole thing, I remember this one specific anime. It's an anime about basketball. I forgot, wait, what was it called again?
Kurokuno.
Yeah,
Basket.
Kurokuno style of basket. You know, like what's the red hair guy punya nama?
Oh,
Aku tak ingat tu.
ini tak ingat.
Yeah, I don't remember, but it's kind of like the same thing, right?
Red hair?
Red hair.
Is it? That's not Slam Dunk.
No, not Slam Dunk, not Slam Dunk.
Okay, tak ingat.
it's not Slam Dunk. It's Kuroko's way of playing basketball, something like that. Yeah, the kid with blue hair, ghost,
Yeah,
six
yeah,
player. Yeah. You know, like when he's fighting like his old teammates, the Generation 5 or whatever.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and then there was like the leader, right? And the leader at one point he felt so weak and he couldn't control his team anymore. He had to create an alter ego. But in some sense, later on when you watch the movie, he has to rely on his alter ego to help out his friends, and his friends needs that alter ego, ataupun needs that person, or in some sense needs the other Dhani to come up and pop up and protect himself and also protect his friends and everything, etc. And only at that one point he has to learn to let go of one side to truly see a full potential that he never knows that existed. So while you were explaining all that, I was just playing the anime inside my head. It's like, oh wow, these words are coming to life.
Yeah.
Oh.
Essentially, it is. I mean, it is grieving
It is.
because you realize that it's not that person's bad point,
Betul.
but you know that person was there for you during the hardest times.
Yeah.
How do you say to her like, okay, you gotta go out now? I don't know what I would need you for, but I've known you for so long. You're my best friend, but I don't even know myself anymore.
Yeah.
It's like so interesting to go through all of these phases in life, really understand that you're gonna just constantly change
That is true.
again and again, and like the harder part is you have to do all of this well. There's so many eyes and voices over you
Yeah.
that can also hold you accountable for things that are like their perception of their projection, and you as a person have to not only be kind to like the understanding like maybe they're also losing somebody that they are
That they
attuned
used to.
with. That they like.
I was about to mention like about friends as well. Like, as I think some friends, they would like to see some change in you, but some friends would hate to see some change in you because then
Yes.
you're no longer the person they knew. It's someone else.
Yeah,
You know, like macam the biggest example, let's say you always go out clubbing with your friends every Friday night, and then suddenly you got closer to God, which is good. It's a good thing for you. But for that friend, it's like, damn, I feel like I've lost someone and I have to relearn this new person,
Yes.
and I don't know if I'm gonna like her or not.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I get that. I get that.
I think probably in our age, it's just something that will happen
Yeah.
because we're going through so many changes.
Yeah.
Betul.
That are like literally about us navigating through in our time frames and knowing what exactly we actually want. Because sometimes we don't even know what we want.
Betul.
We think we know what we
Yeah,
want,
yeah.
but even if we know what we want, we don't know what we need.
Yeah,
So dia jadi
exactly.
situ balik.
Yeah. And then like, when you get it, macam, this is actually not what I wanted. Yeah. Damn, that happens a lot.
Kan.
That's something to think about.
So
Wow.
Niyat was literally about being self-reflective, and I think the part where I was kind of struggling through trying to navigate was like I was being so openly vulnerable with myself and taking this personal space
Yeah.
in the format of a career, and I'm putting it for the whole world to see, and I'm trying to talk to it in front of a camera during news when they're doing news. I'm thinking to myself like all these fragments of like parts of like trying to be genuine through a screen or trying to bond or connect to people through a screen creates all of these different fragmented parts of all of us.
Yeah.
So, but that's the reality of today's world. And trying to navigate and understand like how these complexities and what you want to really work towards in the future. Do you want this?
Yeah.
Like it works for you. You can go far, but do I want this? Who am I going to disappoint?
How long would you want this for?
Yes. Is this sustainable?
Okay.
Is this ethical?
Damn.
Because one day you might just like, because I pernah tanya this one curator, because I went through a bit of something. I'm always going through something.
We all are. We all
Right?
are, yeah.
Okay, it's normal.
Yeah. This is the perfect podcast for this.
We're just a bunch of messy individuals. So I was asking the curator, I asked him like, macam, what if one day I did all of this stuff, and I seem to be able to do it, and people are always seeing your potential, but they don't really tie it back to your ability. Because what I've realized is like, okay, imagine like, because we do this to people, we see people like macam, oh dia ni boleh, dia ni boleh, potential dia banyak ni, dia ada charisma, right? But then we never kind of like sit down to talk to that person to understand like who he is currently at the moment, whether he even has the tools to do what we think he can do. Because we tend to like just push people off the cliff.
Yeah.
And then ask them to like, you can fly, right?
Yeah.
You look like you can fly.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That is so lovely. It's in a concept of love where macam, for example, you fall in love with someone not because of who they are right now, but you fall in love with them because of the potential you see in them.
Yes, the idea of them that you have.
The idea that you have inside your head. For example, to someone who's listening, and let's say macam this guy tiba-tiba starting quotes a lot about Nabi Muhammad and everything, stuff like that. You're not thinking about that moment right now. You're thinking about, maybe one day when I'm 30 with him, we will both be religious together and stuff like that. And that's like the potential you're
Kalau
talking
kahwin dia
about.
boleh jadi imam.
Right. You tend to love the ideal of him.
Yes.
Oh, damn, that is.
So a lot of times people don't meet people, they just meet ideas or concepts of you.
Oh, that is so true.
Kan, aish.
That is so true.
I rasa Dhani you kena buat podcast sendiri ataupun buku lah.
At this point.
Ayo.
Something yang macam benda tu ada tapi kita tak pernah dengar and kita tak ambil tahu tau. Kan? Pasal
True.
Yeah.
But still, in the end of the day, her choice. She really has a lot on her plate.
No, but I do journal a lot. I do like this podcast ni kan. You know like macam Inside Out. Inside Out, right?
Yeah.
The one yang dia ada macam that
Oh,
headquarter tu kan. I have that moment with myself every now and then. But I have to, because then when I'm doing art, you have to understand why you're doing this.
Yeah.
Where is it coming from?
Yeah.
So like for me, what I also realizing in Niat ni kan is like it's not a career. I don't approach art as a career, which is why I'm not doing so well at some parts.
Oh.
But I approach it as a form of self-development. Because art literally is my teacher in life, my parent in life. Because when nobody was there,
Art was there.
it was only art and ice. Because I raised myself technically.
Fair.
So I learned religion through art. I learned how to be a woman through art. I learned philosophy through art. I learned each part of whatever I think I needed to know as a human being.
Through art. Damn, that's lovely. Huh.
Tepuk tangan boleh?
Yeah.
Eh,
Damn, that's really
Wow.
lovely. I like that.
You do.
I like that a lot. Damn. So wait, if like in some sense, if like art is not a career, how do you see yourself? Like, I guess this is like a question people ask all artists, and like, how do you see like macam you feeding yourself in the near future, etc.
So that's where I have to figure out myself. Which is like, when I say art is not a career, I mean, it can be a format that gets me my nasi on the plate.
Yeah, of course.
Right. But what I understand is like I have zero ability to separate from it being a personal self-development tool.
Okay.
It's a way for me to stabilize like my, I don't know, my emotions ke, my self-esteem ke, whatever, my mental punya ni ke. Because sometimes people do art, they can do it from a commentary level.
Sure.
And we can all do that juga. We can do it commentary-wise, about talking about social issues. We can talk about it from all these different spectrums. But then you have artists juga who are literally just introspective in the nature of when they do art, which is like Frida Kahlo, for instance, or like Van Gogh.
Okay.
Their artwork semua come and stem from a very personal experience. So unless you know certain context of them as individuals, you probably just see paintings. You probably have certain feelings, maybe, but in today's world, everything is catered to service
Okay.
most of the time, right?
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
like, client nak macam ni, kita orang kena draw macam ni. So you fit that scope of work. Tak? But if you create something that's like, it could be relatable, whatever emotions you're going through, but it's not a clear-cut understanding of like, oh, ni pasal depression. Like if you explain it, baru orang faham kadang-kadang macam tu kan. But sometimes it's just like, each person has their kepelikan, their eccentricities.
Yeah.
Their mind works in different ways. They feel in different ways.
see things
Especially if
differently.
people are like autistic, right?
Oh, very true.
Yeah. So like when they create art, I'm sure it's not relatable to an extent, but it's their reality.
Yeah.
So when you're doing art, most of the time it's a sharing of reality. But when you put it in terms of like career, you have to understand is like trying to function systematically in a world where you are disadvantaged in terms of the inner world. Because it's always about your output in terms of like your tenaga buruh ke, apa yang you boleh bagi from your otak in terms of like your skill sets, expertise. Kan? But we don't talk about feeling in society. Which is it's crazy. How do you not talk about feelings and emotions?
Yeah.
How is that weak?
True.
Anything systematically, we don't talk about this stuff. And then that's why we have all these problems with like mental health.
Yeah.
And like during the process of trying to write for Niat, because of course my English is better than my BM, but my BM is still okay. It's just like certain words, memang bahasa Melayu is a bit lacking in terms of kosakata dia.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we're not a rich language, we're a language yang miskin. And like Arabic is like how many million words. English is just a few 100,000.
Betul.
Betul.
So like, while trying to write, I have to translate because I write English first and then translate to BM and I think, does it make sense?
Yep.
And what came out was like, I tried to understand certain sentiments because language can dia bermainkan peranan like your culture,
Yeah.
your emotions, and it's related to the spectrum of locality.
Yeah.
So I tried to translate vulnerability. And I got terdedah or kelemahan.
Oh, itu translate dia
That's weird.
So macam takkanlah nak tulis saya terdedah.
Saya kelemahan.
Yeah. So it's like macam ni sentiment I cannot put it into words. Or macam like the best part is I usually say my works are very playful.
Okay.
But if I were to translate it into BM, how? My work suka bergurau senda. Suka mempermainkan.
Suka dipermainkan.
So it's a different sentiment altogether that I have to try to encompass and put into words.
Yeah.
I realized like a lot of the words I wanted to say that were very emotive, tak ada.
In BM.
Tak ada.
That's quite true.
So like there already limits a certain capacity emotionally, a certain emotional capacity and maturity for me to encompass my work to my audience in a way that they understand generally.
Yeah.
So like I realized like as a society, we're always talking about ideas, concepts, all of these parts, but we don't talk about or touch base to the human aspect of having them, which is like, what were you feeling about them?
Exactly.
Where did they come from? What are you trying to say? Because like you're only human if you share.
Yeah.
Betul.
How are you? We're just us talking is how we connect. We're social creatures, but we don't even try to tap base into that. We just tap base into like, oh, okay. I think you, boleh what's that word? I can get something out of you productively in terms of a work format. je.
Okay.
You
fair,
are
fair, fair.
energy that I can maybe to some extent exploit or help to move along this system in place. But that's
Damn.
it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's really fair. Because even if like you think about it, even like a simple small purchase that you make is also feeling related. For example, you macam kau dah sakit belakang duduk on your chair lama-lama, and then now you want to buy a perfect chair that makes you feel good, that makes you feel more comfortable and relaxed and safe. That's like a simple basis of how you feel.
Yeah, like they say actually apa? Wait, I had it. sekejap,
Okay.
I remember this. It was like, if you have great self-esteem, then the industry would collapse. If everybody had great self-esteem, the industry would collapse. Because everything,
It's like riding on people's insecurities.
yes. Securities are profitable.
So
Problems are profitable. Sometimes you even create solutions where solutions aren't needed.
You feel like sometimes creating a solution would stop the profit from coming.
No, it creates a different problem sometimes.
Oh, that's quite true. Yeah, that's quite true. It's kind of like, you know, like macam how when they made metal straws, like macam, okay, the first problem was like, okay, save the turtles. Now we create metal straws. All right. Now what about the what was the problem again?
Aku rasa kan metal. Yang masalahnya kita kena pakai straw
Straw paper tu.
paper.
Straw paper tu, that's not like a big problem. It's like an environmental problem juga.
Lead? Is it lead?
Yeah, I think it's not lead. It's just the fact I think when we use metal, I think like more people had to mine metal, and because of that, like there were more workers, also kids use the same apparently for vape. So like apparently like for vape, like there's like a special metal that they can get, but they can only like mine it at a certain place. So these African kids, because they're so poor and desperate of money, they would have to go and mine. The problem is that when you mine there, they release like a fume tau. So this fume, like when you consume it too much, you could potentially lose your life.
Oh.
So that's like the thing, you know, like
Faham.
macam, I want to, for example, the first problem was like, I want a vape that I could just switch whenever time I want. Then you got that, but then you have another different set of problem, like you said, where now we're endangering kids
Betul.
in Africa and these mining places. So macam,
Yeah, we live in an age where,
you can't fix everything.
like, what's the word? We live in an age of hyper individualism.
Ooh.
So too much of a point where we don't. It's okay to do anything, even if it's like questionable, because we don't see the effects happening around us immediately.
That's fair.
So like if
That's
it's
fair.
happening on the other side of the world, tak apa, I tak nampak orang tengah mati, tak apa. But I also understand because it's just how our brains work juga. Because we're not meant to be able to consume all this information. But
Seeing it on the screen and seeing it in real life is two different things, right?
yes, but it's just the idea of like having and knowing that we cepat sangat let go of responsibility and accountability of our actions because
that's
things are
quite true.
easy. So
Yeah.
macam why should I care if I can go to the mart and buy something that might be problematic, that might have an effect in the long run of things. But if everybody's doing it, what's the point? So you kind of like internalize this sense of hopelessness as a new reality, without having to even be like a person that understands that you do have a certain responsibility as a consumer and as a human being
Yeah.
to figure out how and what your action shapes the world around you.
Yeah, it's kind of like do you know this like a TikToker called like DMA Islam, stuff like that? Okay, so he's like this weird TikToker that says like the most out left things possible, and it has created like a very weird impact or a weird society in like his own following and stuff like that. And I guess like the best way to say it is like, you know, like when Miley Cyrus started to go really rogue, and then she just started doing her own thing, and then she's just saying that macam, it's not my responsibility, you know, I'm just being me, right? I feel like that's like it
Yeah.
in its essence.
Yeah, it's being technically it's being encouraged within
Yeah,
us that to
yeah,
have like this like idea that you live your life YOLO and whatnot semua benda ni.
Yeah.
This is just branding lah technically.
exactly.
It's true that you live once only and whatnot this time, but there is very little talk about understanding collective responsibility. Because somehow in some format we forget that like we need one another.
Yeah.
We tend to think that macam no, I can survive by myself. I'm gonna cook for myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do all these things for myself. And then that's why like a lot of family situations like whatnot semua because we technically we're going back there, but we're all narcissistic
We kind of are, aren't
because how are we not? How can we not? Faham tak? We have been bred that way.
Betul.
The difference, I guess, is just like I learned this from like a YouTube video
we? Okay, all good.
that randomly played. You know the autoplay thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was saying like macam technically this narcissism problem started actually quite early,
Okay.
later in the civilization, only because we went from being farmers to building cities.
Yeah.
It's like our main way of like, because when you're a farmer, you have to share.
Yeah.
I give you my goat, you give me sawi. You know?
Time to butter lah.
It's a buttering. So you have to know about each other's well-being.
Ya, betul.
But sini is like a dog eat dog world, and like you're doing it, trying to buy bread
Yeah.
to live in, which is supposed to be like a basic fundamental right lah.
Betul.
But these things shapes how we interact with dead things, like they're alive, and how things that are alive we treat them like they're dead.
Oh, that's so deep.
Kan?
That's so deep. So it's kind of like in the sense where it's also in a sense where narcissism is kind of encouraged, right? Because
Yes.
if you can fight for yourself, you can fend for yourself, then you are valued as a very high value person. But if you need others and you can't do certain things, and you are devalued.
Aku rasa kita memang dah dibesarkan macam tu kan.
I feel
macam
like maybe.
dah orang kata apa, dah memang kehidupan macam tu. Kata tak? Faham tak?
More than ever because it's still quite new.
Yeah.
Like the internet is technically still quite new, and especially macam I think all three of us we grew up in between.
Yeah, betul.
In between, like we still macam tak ada time and we played with it.
Yeah,
But then we
yeah.
grew up with it also,
Yeah.
seeing how it progressed, and to a certain point now, how much of like you really realize like macam wow, I really want a future like this.
That's fair. Damn.
Damn. Oh my god.
Jeez. Oh. Damn.
Right?
No, all good. All good. All good.
Yeah,
It's like an episode that, man, if somebody was high and they were watching this episode, they will probably
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. They probably have so many food for thought inside their head right now. Probably otak dia dah kenyang gila sekarang ni.
Eat that brownie. Eat that brownie.
Yeah, eat that brownie. But damn, that's such a lovely insight and such a
Yeah,
nice way
though.
to reflect on the world.
Betul.
And I guess like, that's a very nice way to do it.
But just I think in general sometimes, especially now, because I do this to myself too. It can be so easy to feel hopeless.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
It's like you just feel like you're just wondering like macam, there's so much for you to process through.
And do.
But I think it's just like, it's important to understand with ourselves. Because I know I've been ranting with a lot of all these things that feel like they're very heavy.
Yeah.
But like also understand like, it's okay for you to just be simple.
Okay.
Okay.
Be simple. Be simple in that simplicity and be happy with just that. You don't need to be more than that.
Yeah.
I think like in today's world, especially coming from me who tends to like try to do everything, it's fine to be stupid too.
Yeah. Right. Right.
It's important.
Yeah.
But like understand that the stupid that I mean is a conscious stupid.
Yeah, yeah,
Not
yeah,
like an
yeah.
unconscious.
Kita
Like
tahu benda tu bodoh.
Yes.
you know?
Kita tahu benda tu bodoh.
That like that sort of like thing.
It's fun to have a little bit. Yeah.
And also understand like whatever you do have a sense of power, at least with yourself. So like whatever it is that you are being projected with the outside world or what you are required to be or to do, push to be just like a manusia yang berguna ke. I think find your own standards in place, and also don't ever settle for a reality that you don't believe in. Because I feel like sekarang and today,
Yeah, that's true.
I never understand why people tell me, oh, that's just reality. I hate that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I honestly macam betul-betul hate like sizzling hate when I hear that word, because I feel like macam
It's just like you giving up, right? It sounds like they're just giving up.
it's giving up, and you are technically you become a problem too.
Oh.
And I don't mean that macam you're not enabling it je.
Yeah.
But I also think that it means you don't believe that just because systematically things have worked a certain way, it doesn't mean it's the truth. That's one.
Doesn't mean you can't change.
It doesn't mean it cannot change. But if you don't believe it to be like you don't believe that it can't change, why should it?
Yeah.
So already there,
Yeah.
you're already building this reality, and I realize for other people who don't like who don't adopt that value of like understanding or perception or that reality, I feel like you don't need to try to tell them that they're naive.
Oh.
Like, I feel like there's so many different values that we humans have, and we need to understand that first and foremost, it's very hurtful to destroy someone's reality.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People think it's like macam, because that's why macam, that's usually what happens when you talk to somebody. It's macam rasa benda tu salah,
Yeah.
but they do it in a way where it's so hateful. Like macam ini salah betul lah, bodoh dan semua kan.
Yeah.
But they don't forget like macam, okay, in one part it might be wrong, might be super super wrong, but have you ever thought to ourselves that maybe that person grew up in that thinking all their lives, and having to change is not only easy, it's painful.
It's
painful as hell. And what you really put down to it, you think, that's their entire world. What you're trying to say is for them to step out of something or the only thing they know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to be
The only thing that
okay.
they're comfortable in, just being gone just like that.
But they are there because they want to stay there.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to respect that.
Yeah, betul.
Yeah.
But also, respect is a two-way street. I don't think it's earned. You always have to give it.
Betul.
So, I think like reality, honestly, is just what you want to make it to be. Even
That's
if
true.
it seems delusional,
Yeah.
even if it seems to be in contrast to everything around you, as long as you know realistically, memang truth-wise, benda tu akan jadi macam tu ke, macam ni, right? But if it's chosen, I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, betul.
It's damn, that's a really nice thought. It's kind of like in a sense where, okay, there's two examples I want to put in. Like, for example, like when people say, oh, that's just reality, that's just how the world works. Then if people just kept on saying that for the longest time, then women still wouldn't be able to vote right now.
Betul.
Right? Because
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was a reality at a certain time. And also in a sense where macam in a certain person's life, that's their reality. There's this really great quote where the last thing you should ever take away from someone is their hope, because it could be the last thing that they have. And that hope kind of lives in their own reality,
Betul.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's painful to rip away someone's hope. And you might do it so effortlessly, but it could be like world shattering for
Yeah.
them. And if they feel like they want to get out of that place, that's their choice. Not like a choice for you to force upon people. That's
I think like people have a sense of entitlement, thinking that
they do.
they can rewrite people's understanding of their hope.
Yeah, exactly. They do.
And aku rasa diorang pun kena faham di mana cara pembesaran diorang pun lain. POV dia ni lain.
Yes.
Cara pemikiran dia pun lain.
Yes.
Tak semestinya realiti dia tak betul, realiti kau betul.
Yeah, betul. You're just seeing the world from two different point of views.
So that's why macam for me, when I'm trying to navigate through art in the career mode, so I'm trying to understand all these values of like what I think matters and what I think doesn't matter.
Fair.
Because like my macam mana, I don't work well systematically.
Okay.
I don't think in that way.
Okay.
I don't understand value in that way.
Okay.
But I understand you need money to survive.
Yeah.
But I also feel like, of course, I hope to God that was not the case. But itu memang how systematically it works. But I can also say that in terms of like, that does not have to be how I berkiblatkan everything.
Yeah.
I'm not saying money, but I'm just saying of like having to cater or adhere to a system that I just naturally don't believe in. It does not mean that I am not putting it into consideration.
Yeah.
It's a choice that I get
a
to
choice.
make.
Yeah, true.
Because I think last year I haven't done any teaching jobs this year.
Okay.
I took a part-time teaching job. It's just an arts and crafts thing that I do with like a few autistic kids.
Oh, lovely.
So it was a very mind-blowing opening experience, just understanding like these kids, because autism, usually what they go through is they have a certain way of thinking and worldview,
Yeah.
and they also process emotions very differently.
Yes.
Or even outwardly or in whatever format they do. So when I teach, sometimes they will have certain things yang trigger them tau.
Oh, okay.
So little tiny things that trigger them. It could be the smallest things of like not being able to hold the scissors or hating the fact that the line is not straight.
Yeah.
So like for me, when I'm thinking to myself like from a outer layer of it, I think to myself like, wow, I can't imagine going through life as a grown up. Because usually autistic people, they have that, just maybe they do grow with the same problems, triggers,
Yes.
but just get better at like controlling or managing it, right?
Manage it so much better. Yeah.
But like I can't imagine having to go through life with all these tiny little triggers or tiny little details that really render my entire emotional ecosystem or like the way I bring myself around about to kind of like collapse at the
Yeah.
moment in time.
Yeah.
And that's from there I realized that much what a harsh, cruel reality it is for them, I feel.
Yeah.
Because like things that could be easy for us, which is like cutting paper, right? For them might be like the hardest thing ever.
Betul.
We can understand that. Kita macam ambil ni sak.
Yeah, autistic kids and their motor skills are a little bit different. compared to
Different.
ours. Yeah.
But then I realized that macam if you give them space to understand in their own way of understanding, it's not that there's something wrong with them, but because we approach certain things as a problem, it becomes a problem because dah memang orang main fikir macam tu tau. But they just function differently.
Yeah, betul.
And it's the only problem it is just systematically tak ada a way to
Keep them in check in some sense.
keep them in check.
To teach them.
There's no way in the system that caters to them.
Oh.
Because they're not
fair,
for
fair.
the system. They are
Yeah.
outside of like how things
Yeah,
are usually
yeah.
working in terms of the way that we understand.
They're like mavericks in some sense. Yeah.
So then
You can't make a system that works for them because everyone is so individual and so unique.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
then I kind of realized that I feel like honestly, of course there are people who are autistic, so but I feel like in the smallest of essence and the basis of it all, I feel like probably all of us are like that. We all have a certain way of going about in life, but after a certain point, we realize that we have to literally like fit in to a T, you know? So we'd start making all these sacrifices just so that we can survive in the way that the system works. Because the system doesn't feel, the system doesn't move, doesn't adapt to kind of like consider us further. But there are also people who, instead of systems, are people with a certain philosophy or way of functioning that creates something that's more well-rounded and holistic. But some people only go by a set of conduct of rules.
Yeah.
Of course.
So from there, I realized macam like technically with artists, that's what we're supposed to tap in. We're supposed to tap into how the hell do we make our lives better and also have that conversation with everybody else. It's not the responsibility to make everybody's life better. Sometimes we might do the opposite, but the whole point is to have that conversation going.
True. As long as that conversation going, then something can start happening.
Yeah.
And macam my favorite Mr. Rogers quote, anything mentionable is manageable.
Fair.
Bisa.
That's true.
You know. Kau rasa tak?
Yeah. Damn,
Thank
that's
you,
a
though.
whole new perspective on life.
Macam
Damn.
Kita boleh berfikir macam tu. Kita ada
Gila.
that POV sebenarnya.
Wow. Not gonna lie, I think this is like a very brain-loaded episode. I like it. I love it. I think we're honestly at the end of our episode. It's already an hour and a half.
Yay.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you again for coming in and not just like sharing your experience, but also like sharing your whole process and your whole thought journey and like how you view the world. And it's such a very different take compared to anything I've heard so far. And I love that. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for wanting to be here.
I'm happy to learn as well and see how things change.
We'll see how.
Yeah.
We'll see how.
Nak cakap good luck juga dekat you punya art. Semoga berjaya
Thank you.
dan semoga macam kita tahulah semua nak duit kan.
Yeah, of
Semoga
course.
sama-sama lah kita naik.
Inshallah.
I mean, I do want money though, so
Yeah.
pray me to get the bucks too.
Give
Please.
her art recognition. By the way, just one question before we let you go. Like, okay, I guess this is like just a question for anyone who wants to pursue in the art career and everything and stuff like that. Two questions, I guess. Like, actually three. How long did it take before you got your first paid, like your art got paid for? Second, like what was the lowest amount you've ever sold your art for, and what was the highest amount you ever sold your art for? Like this is in the sense where just to give these kids out there who ever thought about it a sense of inspiration. At least they know what to expect.
Betul.
For one, you don't have to be a bit crazy to go for art.
Okay, fair.
That's one.
Okay.
So just know that if you're trying to make money from art, that's not how it's gonna happen. That's first and foremost. You can make money from it, but it cannot be the first sole reason that you go for it. And I think you also need to like understand with any, not only just in fashion but also in art, it's similar. It's not glamorous. It's not that glamorous.
Okay.
Because I understand we have to package it to be in terms of branding or sometimes, right? Or social media. You buat influencing pun is technically that.
Yeah.
You just
Betul.
package a certain lifestyle.
Yeah, that's true.
We can do it more genuinely, for sure. I think for me, am I skipping if I go straight to the price point?
Yeah. No, I
Okay.
don't think so. Yeah.
The lowest point, a bit hard, I can't remember.
Okay,
I
fair.
started selling when I was 15.
Okay, so
Because
that's a very young
online
age,
kan,
Yeah.
senang. I think like prints or just like custom works. Would be like $50,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okey lah, 15 tahun dapat RM50.
Yeah,
Banyak tu.
Paint's not cheap kot.
Fair. That's fair. Betul juga.
Then I think the highest it would have to be the balai lah.
The balai one.
Yeah.
Ah.
Because I'm quite because it's one entity to be made, and for that price around 25k,
Alhamdulillah.
27k.
Noise. That was noise.
Lepas ni kita nampak, oh solo, oi Ashu.
Kita lah ada sponsor elok.
Ya, insyaAllah.
Inshallah.
Just remember, art is always an investment first.
That's fair. That's
Dengan
fair.
susah
Yeah, I guess we get that. Well, thank you so much for being here.
for having me.
We'll see you guys next time on the next episode every Sunday at 8 p.m.
Alright, see you guys.
Bye.
Mwah.
Okay, I thought so. Thought so. He does it every time.
Thank you.